Hey English 1102 friends, this is a video taking you through a couple of the poems in the family and community section. One is Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night by Dylan Thomas, and then the other is To a Daughter Leaving Home by Linda Paston. The difference in these two poems, Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night, is the speaker in the poem talking to his father, and then To a Daughter Leaving Home is the speaker speaking to a daughter. So you get these voices going in different directions, one talking to their daughter, one talking to their father. Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night is the much more famous of these poems. It is very clearly a part of like European, British literature, Irish literature. Dylan Thomas, one of the big famous poets of the 20th century. You see though, he died in 1953. This poem is like 70 years old essentially. It's an older poem, and it has that sort of old style. It's got the rhyme, night and light and right and night and day and they and bay. This poem feels like what a lot of students, when I talk to them, expect poetry to feel like, with these sort of regular rhymes and stuff like that. There's also an organization. There's an organization to the images too, which we'll get into as we get into the poem. But this poem is, on a very basic level, Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night is don't just lay down and die. The speaker in the poem is talking to his father, and he's saying, don't go easy, don't go gentle, fight for your life. Rage against the dying of the light. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age, when you're older, old age should burn and rave at close of day. So like when your time's almost over, you should rage and fight against it. Rage against the dying of the light. The wise men, okay, here's the first part. Wise men. The wise men at their end know dark is right. So like wise men know that everybody has to die, that's what happens to everybody. Because their words had forked no lightning, they do not go gentle into that good night. So even wise men who know, everybody has to die, they fight against it at the end. Good men, so now we got wise men, good men. Good men, the last wave by, crying how bright their frail deeds might have danced in a green bay, rage against the dying of the light. So wise men, even though they know it's coming, they fight against it. Good men, who know they've done good and had a good life, they fight against it. Wild men, who caught and sang the sun in flight, and learned too late they grieved it on its way, do not go gentle into that good night. So wise men, good men, wild men, people who had a wild life, who got everything they could out of life, they fight against it at the end too. And grave men, near death, who see with blinding sight, blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay, rage against the dying of the light. So grave men, serious people who've taken everything seriously, who've had a serious life, they take death seriously too, and they're fighting against it. And you, my father there on the sad height, his deathbed, his sick bed, curse, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. So the son is like, curse me, bless me, whatever you want, just don't give up and die. Do not go gentle into that good night, rage against the dying of the light. So you get this sentiment from the son here, who is saying, be like all these different kinds of people, grave men, wild men, good men, wise men, all these different kinds of people know that at the end you have to resist, you have to fight, you have to not go gently into the night. You have to fight, and he wants his dad to get up and fight and resist, rage against the dying of the light. An understandable sentiment. A son or a daughter watching their parent die and saying, no, don't do it. Keep fighting, get up and keep fighting. Let's keep going, I don't want to give you up. Just this very basic sentiment about not wanting to see your parent go and wanting to see them not go gently, but fight. The other poem is To a Daughter Leaving Home. This is a parent talking to her daughter, and the parent remembers teaching the kid to ride a bicycle, and the riding a bicycle turns into this metaphor for teaching her how to leave, teaching her how to ride away. You see that right here. When I taught you at 8 to ride a bicycle, so we're back to, she remembered the daughter's leaving home, moving out, going to do her own thing in the world. But the mom is thinking about when she taught the girl to ride a bike when she was 8 years old. Loping along beside you as you wobbled away on 2 round wheels. So you got the parent, running beside the bicycle, afraid the kid's gonna fall and get hurt. My own mouth rounding in surprise when you pulled ahead down the curved path of the park. Y'all know this, the kid is wobbling at first, but then she gets the hang of it and she's riding faster than the mom can keep up. I kept waiting for the thud of your crash as I sprinted to catch up, while you grew smaller, more breakable with distance, pumping for your life. You know, now the kid's pumping her legs, pumping the pedals of the bicycle, just going screaming with laughter, hair flapping behind you, like a handkerchief waving goodbye. And so it's like she taught the girl to grow up. She taught her how to ride a bicycle. She taught her how to do things on her own, and the end result of that is the daughter leaving home. And so she remembers, you know, the daughter's leaving home, and she's thinking about how when, you know, this time, a long time ago, when she taught her how to do this one thing on her own, and the daughter's riding away from her. And in some ways, that, like, teaching your kids to be independent and do their own thing is this sort of teaching them to grow up and leave you. And that's what you get in this poem, is her thinking, as the daughter's moving out, she's thinking about one of those moments when she taught her how to do something on her own, balance on her own. So again, you get this nice contrast of do not go gentle is the speaker speaking to his father, to a daughter leaving home is the speaker speaking to a daughter, and they're sort of looking in those opposite directions and thinking about the meaning, but both of them not wanting to let the other person go a little bit. Sad to see them go. I hope that helps you understand these two poems and see a little bit of a connection between them. Thanks.